Okay, so I'm recording. I have no idea. I'll just try and keep an eye on the time.
Daddy went to the store.
Okay, so one of the biggest things that Jewel training helped me do was completely refresh my focus. I think that it was really easy for me when I first started. I was trying to work smart and identify my runners on my team and pour into them. You guys have all heard how you're supposed to invest 80% of your time in the top 20% of your team. Well, I think the mistake that I made was how to identify those people. Like I was kind of basing that on rank. So I was picking, I would sort my report by rank and be like, okay, the top 20% of my team is Gary, Lorelai, Will Abishan, whoever is high ranked. But really what we need to be doing as we're key leaders. What we need to be doing is identifying our level ones who have leadership potential. They may not have rank yet, but if they have the drive and the leadership potential, we need to be pouring into them. The big mistake I made was Sherry joined my team really early and her leg took off. And so right off the bat, I started treating her people like my level ones. So I was like, oh, Jill, Megan, Melissa, these are all great leaders. And I was pouring a lot of time into them, where what I should have been doing, I should have been pouring all of that into Sherry so that Sherry could then turn around and pour all of that back into them. And I think that my mistake was that since Sherry wasn't complaining, that I just wasn't paying attention to her. You know what I mean, Sherry? Like, I just assumed you were doing fine, which that's not my job, is to okay, as long as she's doing fine, I'm just going to keep working my business and she's just going to keep working her business. So that was the big thing I came away with as I was listening to some of these sessions. I was writing down names furiously, and basically I was able to divide my level ones into some tiers. And so it was like that night that I came back to the room and was like, you three are the next 3 emeralds. I wrote that down that day, and I was like, it was like a light bulb moment, like, okay, these 3 are the next 3 emeralds. I need to be really investing in these 3. And then I had a list of 4 names, and those are the people I think are gonna be emerald, but it's gonna take them longer than it's gonna take you guys. So they're kind of my tier number 2. And then my tier number 3 were names of people, again, level ones, or if they're level ones of your husband. But yeah, level ones who I feel like have a lot of potential, are working the business, but they're just a step down from those first 2 tiers for whatever reason. And that seems really basic, but it was like a light bulb for me to get an idea of how much of my time and energy I want to be pouring into you 3. I don't know about you, but that's huge for me, because that means I'm going to get on Facebook every day, and the first 3, I'm going to look at my 50 unread messages, and the first 3 I'm going to look for are you 3. And then if I don't have anything from you 3, I'm going to look for those tier 2 people, the next 4 names that I wrote down, of these are the top people I need to be pouring into. And it's not because other people don't matter. It's just because these are the people who have showed you they're putting the work in, and they're right there in your first level. So does that make sense to all of you so far? Yeah. And I think that my big mistake early on was I was just treating anyone on my team who was trying like a level 1. And what I should have been doing, especially with you, Sherry, was talking with you once a week about your goals, what maybe is going not so great on your team, or what's coming up that you're thinking is going to help everybody rank up, and helping you be the person who treats those people like your level ones. Okay, so that was big. We went over a concept about, hi Caleb. We went over a concept about designing your work time, and we had a huge long section about balance, and I was pretty I was again affirmed, because you all know I stick to business hours. I'm not on my phone all day. You usually don't hear back from me right when you text me, and you definitely don't get a message back right when you message me, which I need to get more on top of those. But I felt pretty affirmed because she was really trying to hit the point home. Like, this is supposed to be Plexus freedom. You're not supposed to be on your phone all day long. You're supposed to be able to have fun with your family and work your Plexus business when you want to.
Can you mute us?
Yes.
Can you mute us? I can't hear you.
Just do the raise your hand feature if you want to.
You can't hear me, can you? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. I just don't know whose kid I'm hearing, but I don't know how to mute. Hang on. Okay, there we go. Mute Gary, mute Lorelai, mute Jenna. Everyone good with that? Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. So we talked a lot about this idea of designing your work time. I felt like a lot of us on our team are already pretty good at that. This idea of having the hours you say, I'm going to step away from family and be in Plexus world. And then when you decide I'm going to be a mom right now, I'm going to be a wife right now, I'm not going to be in Plexus world. I feel like that's something I already have been doing a lot of. But that concept goes a little bit further. This idea that if you say, and you may not have, like I have a pretty reliable nap time with my kids, so I pretty much know I've got the 3 hours that I'm going to have every day, and that allows me to be pretty choosy with designing my work time. So even if you don't have 3 solid hours in a row, the idea still stands that not only should you be designing your day and not doing Plexus all day, but the time that you set aside for Plexus needs to be by design, and it needs to be intentional. And again, this is how the deciding on those names has really helped me with that, because it's really easy to get on your computer or get on your phone and you immediately are sucked into whatever issues feel the most urgent. And usually those are coming from the people who complain the loudest or have the most drama. They may not necessarily be your runners, your, business partners. It's going to be your Emily Joneses, right? So designing your work time is something, I don't know. I feel like some of this is going to feel like review, but essentially, like, I was really trying to put this into practice today, where I had on my Google Calendar, the first thing I want to do is post a challenge in the 20-day challenge group. The next thing I wanted to do was email everybody who had an order in April that sat in entered status and didn't get processed, because I want to make sure that we get as many points in May as possible, because I'm trying to rank up in May. So that was like something huge for me that I'm like, I want to do this. Sorry, but y'all, these glasses are like screen filtering glasses. They're not real glasses. They're for the light of the computer. So yeah, I thought early in the month, I want to email everybody who didn't have an order process in April and either get their AQ turned off or help them get their order placed. Because I don't know about you, but I'm tired of every month after AQ day, I get calls and messages that people didn't want their order to go out. I'm like, it is very simple. Delete. You press delete and you turn off your AQ if you don't want to get that order. I'm not going to waste any more time or Jake's time trying to get people refunds for their AQs. So that's a side note. Anyway, designing my work time for today. And then after I did that, after I emailed all those people, it's the first of the month. So I wanted to get a hold of you 3 and then the next 4 that are the next, in my mind, most important, not of course valuable as people, but the next most important people that I'm investing my coaching time in, and do goals emails. And up until now, I've been just sending out a goals email to the whole team, or to my level ones, unless it's like January and I send it to the whole team. But up until now, I'll send the email to all my level ones saying, here are my goals. If you would like to send me your goals, feel free. And then do I follow up at the end of the month and say, did you hit your goal? No, because I was too afraid that would feel like they were a failure if I followed back up and said, hey, I noticed you wanted to go gold in April and that didn't happen, so let's continue making a plan for May. I don't do that. And part of the reason is because the people I get goals back from are so random. Like, usually you 3 are going to be sending your goals to your team, probably, and then those next 4 I may or may not hear from, and then I may get goals from 20 other people that are at varying degrees of my priority list. So I couldn't tell if Lorelai was trying to say something. Okay. So instead of doing that today, as I was trying to do this intentional designing my work time, I knew I was going to be Zooming with you three, so I didn't write to you three. But the 4 people past you, that second tier, it was kind of tier 2 and tier 3. So it was maybe like 10 people that I said, I'm going to spend time today and write them an email. And the email was basically, it said, hey, so-and-so, I just looked back at your goals from January. So I would like pull up in my email that when they sent me their January 2016 goals and say, I wanted to sit down with you for a minute and powwow and regroup about your goals. I'm seeing from your January email that you said you wanted to be senior gold by the end of June. Since you're not gold right now, I'm thinking now would be a good time for us to talk and make a new plan and talk about when you're going to hit gold, and then maybe make a plan for senior gold or whatever their email said. But basically, I can't do something like that if I'm focusing on 30 or 40 people that I'm trying to have a goals conversation with. But if I have my top tier and my second and my third tier, and that maybe is 10 or 15 people, I can intentionally email each of those people and say, okay, I think it's time we regroup. Oh, let me unmute you. Okay. Go.
Okay, so I feel like I mean, of the 4 of us, I'm the lowest ranked. So I feel like I'm going to be doing all of these things that you're talking about now with my team, because a lot of mine are just silver. So would you say that, because right now I just do whatever you do as far as goal sending. I send it to everyone and I say, it doesn't have to be about the business. It can be about weight loss, personal journey, whatever. Right. But are you saying that you wish you would have only sent the goals email to the people who show the most leadership potential?
Okay, good
not the whole
question.
team?
No, that's a good question. I think I would have done it the same way, but if I had a list that said, like, even though your people they seem like they're all at the same level, you've got some people who recruit a ton but barely communicate with you.
Right.
You've got some people that are great communicators with you. They've already got a team page. They're kind of rolling on all cylinders. And then you've got kind of the whole spectrum. So I think even at your point, I would still have people, maybe your top 3, where you send your goals to everybody and you're really, really trying to get that engagement back. But you're making a point at the end of the month to reach back out to say, Cassie, and say, okay, let's go back over your goals and figure out if you didn't hit it, where did we miss? What do we need to do as a new plan? I think my problem was I was trying to just do it with so many people that I was not giving the specialized attention to the ones who I did need to give it to. So I do think at the early stage, you still want to get as many goals and as much participation back as you can. And of course, you want people thinking about their why and evolving their why. So that's a good question. Most month, and I will probably still send out a goals prompt every month, but this month I sent out a personalized email, and already, like, obviously Mallory's my sister, but already Mallory wrote me back. She's like, wow, thank you so much for that email. It was like, she gets a goals email from me every month, but this month it was like, hey, I really want to chat with you about your goals because I haven't, I forget what it said. So I think it's just more a matter of like how in your mind that those are people you need to be doing true coaching with, rather than just like, are they gonna respond? Are they gonna send me their goals? Do you want me to remute you, Jana?
No, I have a quiet baby.
Okay. Let me see. I gotta keep an eye on the time too. Okay, so it's been about 15 minutes. Okay, so you're first of all identifying your people in tiers, and not just what rank they are, but at the level of potential you see in them, essentially. And you're trying to keep that with your level 1s or your husband's level 1s, because the idea is those people below that need to be trained by them. Here, I'm going to mute you. Totally fine. Okay. So the people below that need to be trained by their upline. And if they're not getting good training from their upline, your responsibility as the leader is to train their upline. That's the person you sponsored. And it's not that person's fault. Everybody has different strengths. So the next thing I think is really important is I identified a list of people that I need to pull an evolved why out of. So this is a list of people who is not necessarily my top runners, don't necessarily see a ton of business potential in them, but when they first signed up, they were somebody I was really excited about because maybe I knew their health testimony was going to be totally life-changing if they would share it. Or I knew that they've been successful. I mean, usually most of these, it's like people I think they could do this, but for whatever reason, they're totally not doing it. So it's not people that I'm looking at going, oh, I need to pour all this coaching time into them. It's people that I'm looking at going, they still have something that would make them awesome at this, whether it's their testimony or their level of influence or both. And so we went over a ton about our why at Jules Training. I think our team already does a great job of this, but just how important it is that your why goes deeper than I want $500 a month. Okay, you want $500 a month. Why? So that I can send my kid to private school because he's being bullied. Like, you got to get down to the point where their why is important enough to drive them forward in this business. We already try to do that a lot, but I basically wrote down people who I thought I need to email them personally. Again, this is like 6 people. Kayla's one of them, Lorelei, where I feel like in the beginning, I mean, she's got a great network, okay, and like a super magnetic personality. And like she could do really well with Plexus. And at the beginning, she seemed to really want to. But for whatever reason, she's like, I'm good where I am. So I feel like that's someone I can email and say, I'd really like you to send me an updated why. And then when they send it to me, I ask those questions drilling deeper. Because when people send me their why and their goals email, if I feel like it's too surfacey, I do write back and say, but what is it about that that's going to change your life? What's your life going to look like when you're not worried about that car payment anymore? Or what's your life going to look like when you don't have to worry about feeding your kids anymore and you can just go to the grocery store and buy what you want? So that's another thing, is I listed out some people that I think it would be worth my time to have an individual conversation with them or an email thread, and I pull an evolved why out of them that is more than what they gave me when they first joined. Most people's whys don't stay the same. Most people join to get the products cheaper and to get some personal health goal met that they have. And then if they help one other person, their why starts to evolve and they go, okay, I helped my dear friend with her endometriosis pain. This is a lot bigger than me. And their why should be getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Okay, so I think I basically covered that. You also want to identify some people that you think would really do well in a book study. I created 2 more lists. One was a group that I thought would do well with Millionaire by Halftime, and another was my next group that I'd like to do 21 Laws with. So you guys will probably all go on and want to duplicate 21 Laws once we finish, which we're moving incredibly slow, so that'll probably be after convention sometime. But I sent you that Melissa Eichenhorst language where she used that really good, like, I chose you language. So anyway, I created a list of people who I think are strong leaders that I should do that study with next. So far we've talked about identifying your people in tiers, identify the people you need to pull an evolved why out of, identify the people that you need to have a more focused goals conversation about, both going over their goals for where they wanted to be at this point in the year, and then of course going over their goals for the coming month. Identify the people you think would do well in a book study, and you can have a beginner book like Millionaire by Halftime, and you can have a 21 Laws type leadership book. And I think a point we really want to make sure we don't miss if we get people involved in challenges or if we get people involved in book studies is that connecting sidelines is our best friend. Like, I've been hitting this way harder in the 20-day challenge recently. I'm facilitating the group, but I'm really, really trying to build their sideline relationships. So in the 20-day challenge, those of you who were in it last month, Jana, I think Jana's the only one that was in it last month. I tried to keep the wall really uncluttered and just have the challenges, and then occasional posts where I ask people to post what victories they've had in their business since the challenge started. And the whole point of that was getting them celebrating with each other and helping them build relationships with each other. Melissa Eichenhorst even talked about creating chat threads. So I kind of did this with you guys, which was I created a Jules to Be chat thread, because I'm thinking, okay, Sherry's trying to go emerald. She's been bouncing ideas off me, and you've probably, Sherry, been bouncing ideas off of your leaders, right? Like your sister, your mom, Jill, Mandy, Megan. But how awesome is it for us to just have the four of us together in one thread? We're kind of all at the same point, more or less, but you know what I mean, like all trying to grow quickly. And as a resource, like it's just hugely beneficial. So Melissa Eichenhorst talked about maybe anybody you have halfway to gold, and Jana, you're not to that point yet, but anybody you have like silver plus, get those people all in a chat thread together, building relationships and bouncing ideas off of each other, and just stick them in there. She talked about that. She talked about creating a newbies chat thread. So when you get new people on your team, putting them in a little chat group just so that the questions that get asked are being answered all at once. So if I add, I mean, I'm a bad example, but let's say in my first 2 levels or 3 levels or something, I might add 20 people in a month. If I throw them all into a little chat thread and they're asking their newbie questions, I'm answering them and everybody's reading the answers. The only thing about that is I would want to involve their sponsor. I don't want to go too many levels deep because I don't want them coming to me for every little thing. And I feel like if I'm the leader of a thread like that, then they start to look at me like I'm their leader. So you may just do it with, I don't know, levels 1 and 2 and include their sponsor or something like that. But anyway, I just liked it. She just talked a lot about connecting sidelines and how good that is. Okay, we started at 3:32. I'm not getting a 10-minute warning yet. So what I really wanted to talk about, like kind of the whole thing I wanted to talk about on this call was how they taught us about coaching. It's a lot though, so I don't know if we will cover it all, but I felt like once I started writing notes about what I wanted to say before that, then that got a tad bit long. But I do kind of just want to read to you what she gave us as far as how to be a better coach. This was huge for me. So if we don't finish it, we can finish it in another Zoom call. So I'm looking for raised hands if anyone wants to stop me. Feel totally free. Okay. So we do lots of group coaching type atmospheres. We've got 20-day challenges. We've got book studies. We've got, of course, our team page is basically group coaching. But you'll have your people that you'll identify that you need to be pouring 80% of your time into. Those are going to be your big dogs, your runners. So she talked, I'm just going to read a little bit to you guys from it. Okay. So the first thing is you have to be able to separate being their business advisor and being their friend. You're their business advisor, not their personal advisor. I can only imagine how your brain is responding to this, Lorelai. Now, that's not to say that you're not their friend and that you don't weigh in on their life and that you don't have those relational conversations. But with the people, the 3 or 4 or maybe 5 people that want you to pour into them and help them reach their business goals, this is a kind of special arrangement. So it's not to say you're not their friend and you don't get to catch up about friend things. It's just to say, if you're designing your work time like we're supposed to be designing our work time so that it doesn't take over our whole life, we need to be able to have regular coaching with these important people on our teams. And one thing that I've struggled with is I have not had a regular coaching appointment with each of you because I feel that I don't have the time. The truth of the matter is I could probably do a 15-minute call with each of you once a week, but I feel like I would never be able to keep the call at 15 minutes. And part of that's because it's very much a friendship. It's not just let's talk about your business. So she talked a lot about how if you are trying to coach an ambassador that is also your friend, you have to let that person know that you will call back later to talk as friends and that this is your business coaching time together. So I feel like that's very, very hard, but it's pretty much the only way that I would be able to have regular coaching, like if we were going to try to do, let's say, once a week. And the reason it's so beneficial once a week is I'll use Sherry as a perfect example. I feel like up till now, I check in with you when I can, and I might find out if something is going rough or if maybe something isn't going as quickly as you thought, but I would not say that I'm weekly caught up on what is happening to grow your team. Like I find out, oh, Sherry's got an event happening this month because you post a graphic on your team page. Whereas if we were in some sort of weekly connection, I would already know she's got 2 meetings happening this month. She's got an online event happening this month. She's planning to reach out to 5 people this week. That's really beneficial to know with your most important key leaders on your team. But I have just felt like that felt like an impossibility to me. But I think that the reason was because in my mind I was viewing it that it was going to end up being an hour-long call every time we talked because, you're covering all bases, personal, business, everything. So I'll be curious for feedback. Here, why don't, instead of just speeding through, let me unmute and hear what y'all think of that.
I think that a struggle could be finding time that everyone can meet at the same time, even if it's for 15 minutes. I find that with my team, they're all of them. Like, I just have so many things going on. I'm homeschooling. I've got this and this and this. And I'm like, okay, well, like, if you want to grow, you've got to schedule some time for this one thing.
Right.
So I don't know how to just say, okay, well, it sucks for you that you're not making time.
Okay, but you're not talking about time for you're not talking about like 4 people having to align their schedules, right? You're just talking about.
Yes.
Oh, you are? Okay.
No, I'm talking about 4 people having to align their schedules.
Oh, okay.
To do something like this.
But this is just like, let's say you identify 3 people on your team who you want to coach weekly.
Mm-hmm.
This is just about you and Cassie having a Sunday afternoon, 15 minutes every Sunday.
Okay.
Or you and Shelby having Tuesday nights at 9 to 9:20. So you don't have to align 4 schedules. But she did say, if sometimes it does happen where you identify people that you think are really the ones you need to be pouring into, and then time and time again it's like, I've got this going on, or I didn't hit that goal because this happened, or they cancel, maybe can never make it to the coaching session, and ultimately it's for them and it's for their goals. So she said, it's basically saying some version of, okay, I'm helping you be everything you want to be, but in order to do that, you have to participate. I can't want it more than you. Yeah. So, and she even said, don't say I can't want it for you, say I can't want it more than you. But just that idea that they have to participate. If they want to, okay, so I've got 10 minutes, perfect. If they want to coach with you and enter into sort of a coaching relationship, and by the way, she said it's not from now to eternity. You may say, hey, for the next 6 weeks, would you like to try having a weekly phone call with me for 15 minutes? It can look different ways. I'm not saying it has to be a phone call, but anyway. The idea being
this is part of my business. Like, I feel like this is part of my business model and what I've sort of established. I think I even did this when I was working corporate business, and we talked about personal life. And I think that personal is so valuable because it affects your professional life.
Exactly.
And so if we don't know about the personal, we're not able to grow our people professionally as well, because often it's the obstacles in our personal life that affect our professional life.
Yeah, exactly.
And for me, I have 4 people that I kind of have as leaders, and some more than others, but I really try to spend at least an hour every other week with those people. So basically twice a month, I know I set up one-on-one time with them over the phone. and we just talk friends, life, business, and then we might spend 15 minutes having conversations those other weeks, and that's purely business.
Right.
And I don't set it up. It's
just
kind of
happens.
organic,
Yeah.
the way it is. And that's worked for me so far. There'll probably be a point, and even with two of mine right now, one I've been spending less time with only because she's really getting it and she's going. And so most of the time our business conversations are more brief, and our personal conversations lately have been longer because it really is overcoming some of that. So, and what I found is the conversations up front are longer, but then over time they get shorter just because you already know about what's happening. So you can say, so how's your marriage? So how are the kids?
Right.
How's that? And you don't have to go through sort of that getting to know all of the business. But I was telling Jana, I think that was part of the huge growth for my team, and being able to promote from Ruby to Senior Ruby within 2 months is a lot of those one-on-one conversations.
And I feel like I have shied away from them more. Like I tried when I hit Emerald to shift more toward coaching calls instead of all this personal PV and recruiting and stuff. I was like, okay, now I need to shift toward coaching. But I felt like every call was, and maybe I was reaching too deep within my levels. There's all kinds of reasons, but I think you make a good point. Like the coaching, whatever you have in place to coach them at their business is not your only interaction with them. So whether you keep up with all your personal things, daily through text, or whether you have a message thread going at the same time, like hopefully you're keeping in, these are important people. So you're keeping in touch and keeping up to date on their life in lots of different ways. I think her point was that's not what's happening at your standing appointment. So if you're, and if it doesn't even sound like it fits well with your lifestyle or your personality, then it may not work. But I think her point was have some regular time set aside for specifically coaching them on issues in their business that are hanging them up, where their goals are, and their action plan to hit that goal for the next month, and keep up on all the personal stuff on your personal time and their personal time. But if you have like a standing 15 minutes once a week with them, I think her point was that's going to really, really, really help. And I feel like
I only do that with my level ones. I don't go any further than that, which I don't think you don't have the time to.
Yeah, I think that's what I've learned too. But I think even if with my level ones, if I were to try and have like a regular coaching time with them, it's not a big deal for those who really don't have like a personal friendship. You don't, that's not as big of a deal. But for those that you have like a personal friendship with, I'm thinking the idea is be their friend all the time, but be their coach at the time you have designated to be their coach, and let it be that. So what do you think of that?
I think that sounds great. And I feel like the more that you do it, the easier it is to keep it short and on point. Because I've noticed with our 3-way calls, the more that we do them, I guess me and Megan and me and Jill, they have stuck to 30 minutes after, the first couple weeks.
And you guys are keeping up on the friendship stuff all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We had one girl at Jules training who her upline is her sister, and they were really struggling because every time they would talk on the phone, she would want to just talk like she's always talked to her sister. And when her sister came back from Jules training and said, okay, I still want to do all of our sister talk, but I want us to have these coaching calls that are focused where we talk about our business and we save our personal conversations for the rest of the time. And she said it really, at least this girl that was at my Jules training said, it was the first point where I felt a real turnaround in my business, and I felt like my sister was investing in me as my upline and really actually helping me succeed. So, okay. Anyway, I don't know. That one point is pretty much my biggest hang up with the whole thing is I don't ever want to have it feel like I'm saying, okay, you're on the clock. 20 minutes are ticking, but it was like I definitely got that impression from Sarah Marble and from Jennifer Leith, where they were like, I do coaching calls with my top level ones, and they are 15 minutes once a week. And I was just kind of like, okay, so doesn't that feel a little harsh? Like, but they acted like they're totally rocking it. So I don't know. Anyway, so we can move on from, because bottom line, like you said, Lorelai, like if it's happening organically and the time is getting away from you, I don't think that's necessarily the bottom line. The bottom line is obviously the content of the coaching. But I just know that for me, the time is hands down what has made me shy away from even trying to do it. Because I do have this much work time that I'm trying to get this much done, and then trying to add phone calls in there that I'm afraid are going to take an hour has made me go, okay, I can't even do coaching calls. So it's an important point, even though it's obviously not at all the point of the coaching call. Okay. We only have 2 minutes left. So I think we should just do another Zoom sometime, and then we can talk more about coaching. Do y'all?
Well, and I would love to hear if you do the same thing every day, because I feel like sometimes I feel like I have so much to do, and I'm like, all right, what do I need to do? Because there's so many things. How do I choose what's priority and what's not?
Yeah. Oh, I definitely don't do the same thing every day. What'd you say?
And do you do the same thing every day? But you answered that.
Yeah, no, like at the end of the month, like last day of the month, I don't know, I'm trying to think of an example from yesterday. I'm looking at everybody's PV and making sure people that I have an invested interest in understand, are they commission qualified and all that. Last night I was making a list because I knew I wanted points in May, not in April. So I was making a list of every entered order and making a plan to email them today. I usually have right on my calendar that I want to, I have to make time to like read my leadership book and then go comment on the page, because that always flies out the back door. So it's definitely different every day, just depending on what needs to get done.
Well, maybe I would love to do a call to see, like, I don't know, your organization too, because I feel like I'm not that super organized with it.
Do you have like a Google Calendar?
I just have a paper calendar. I'm one of those people.
Okay. Yeah, I use a Google Calendar, and it allows me to move stuff, and I move stuff on the calendar like many times during the day. But like my calendar today says 1 p.m., make a silver announcement for Ashley Guinness. 1:30, email all the people who have an auto shipment coming out this week. 2 o'clock, email the people that had entered orders from April. 2:30, send goals emails to these 7 people. I wrote 7 people's names down that I wanted to do a personal goals email with. 3 o'clock, prep for Zoom. 3:30, Zoom call with Jules to be. 4:30, post 20-day challenge. So that's obviously very unique to today, if that gives you some.
Yes.
Okay, we're less than a minute, so should we can talk on our thread if we want to do another one of these. Do you guys like doing this?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Me too. I really want to pass on as much of this as I can to you guys, because it was so good. We can talk more in the thread. I don't know if they're going to start charging me or something.
They won't. They'll just kick you off. If you want to come back on, you can.
Oh,
But
you would know that.
of course I would.
Unlimited time.
Our Zoom calls, we go, okay,